Okay, here's all my people. Oh, you are blinded by the light. Okay, very good. Okay, so today we are going to talk about the clarinet family and its history and stuff like that. So there are 12 types of clarinets that are still made today, but only really 4 or 5 are used in music. But there is over 25 known since the beginning of the instrument's history. The clarinet family is one of the more versatile families of the instruments. Yeah. The common types of clarinet still used today are the B-flat clarinet, which is this one, the A clarinet, the bass clarinet, and the E-flat and the contrabass, which I do not have. When you think of classical and jazz music, you think of the B-flat clarinet and the bass. But when you think of orchestral music, you think of the B-flat, the E-flat, and the A clarinet. The clarinet is actually originated from an instrument called the chalumeau, which is what we commonly known as like the recorder. They're not the same, but they look very, very similar. So, yeah, this is the recorder. So in Carrie Karp's book, Early Music, there is a discussion section titled The Early History of the Clarinet and the Chalumeau. And he talks about the clarinet and the chalumeau with their similarities and differences in an interesting way. Karp says, the chalumeau and the clarinet are not necessarily the altogether different morphological entities they are often made out to be. It is nonetheless useful to make a distinction between the two instruments based solely on the presence or absence of a register key. So the register key is this little key right here, and it basically helps the instrument go between registers. So what Karp is trying to say is that the clarinets have registers, whereas the chalumeau only had one register. In the mid-1800s, Close and Buffet, which are two clarinet manufacturers, made a little bit of an adjustment where they adapted to the bone fingering system, which is very similar to the flute fingering system. They did this in order for it to be more adjusted to the average hand, so it can fit a little bit better. I'm going to move this so it doesn't fall over. Yeah, so the fingering system, the bone fingering system, is on all the clarinets. However, there are extra keys added to the bass clarinet and the contrabass clarinet so that it can achieve the lower range. Speaking of range, we're going to talk about the B-flat clarinet a little bit. The B-flat has 3 different registers, which you wouldn't maybe know from just looking at it, but I'm going to play a little bit. So the first register is called the chalumeau register, which, interesting, it's named after the chalumeau, I assume. So it's a little bit lower. So that's the lower register of the horn, and then the second register is the clarion register, which is the mid-range. So that includes the throat tones, which are the notes that you first learn on the instrument. They're also the hardest to tune and low-key the worst to play. And then there's the altissimo register, which is all the high notes. Usually when you learn the clarinet, you just learn up to high G, which is... But there are notes that are higher than that, which I didn't learn until college, so... And that's a super C, which is one of the more difficult notes to play. My cats ran away because they were scared of the clarinet. So the A clarinet is what we use in orchestral music. I'm not going to play it for you because it kind of sounds similar as the regular clarinet. The only difference between the A clarinet and the B-flat clarinet is that the A clarinet barrel is longer. So it's 1 centimeter longer than the B-flat clarinet. So if you hold them up next to each other, you can tell that the A clarinet is a little bit taller, right? So the reason that they have these note names as their actual names is because A flat and B are a half step apart. So if I play an open G on the B flat clarinet and then I play the same thing on the A clarinet, it doesn't sound the same. So, for instance, open G sound the same as open G on the A clarinet. Ah. So they're half step apart. Yeah. So A clarinet, orchestra. B flat clarinet, not orchestra. I mean, you can use it, but yeah. So then there's the bass clarinet, which is the big buddy. So the bass clarinet is usually played sitting down because it is so big. And it has a peg that you can use to adjust to the person's height. So I adjusted it to my height. And it plays the lowest registers or the lowest notes of the clarinet family. I'll play a little bit. It sounds kind of like a foghorn. The bass clarinet usually plays the tuba parts in music, and yeah, it usually plays the tuba parts. But it can be used as a solo instrument, and a lot of composers write very interesting music for the bass clarinet because it does have such a low register. So the contrabass clarinet is like the bass clarinet, except for it's a little bit bigger, and the E-flat clarinet is like the B-flat clarinet, except for it's a little bit smaller. So the contrabass is the lowest pitched instrument, and the E-flat clarinet is the highest pitched instrument. So basically the extremes of the clarinet family. So yeah, that's basically it. So that's a little bit of information about the clarinet family, and I'm in my time. So yay! Oh wait, I have to show my people again. Okay, so here's my people. Yay! And we're done.